This is my final review of the Galaxy S24. You may be wondering if you should be upgrading your phone or not, and the answer to that is it always depends. It depends on your personal situation, depends on what phone you're using, depends if you are Team Android or Team Apple. There's a lot of factors that come into play when deciding whether or not you should upgrade your phone. You should never let some random guy on the internet tell you if you should upgrade or not, or how to live your life. You should assess your life and make your own decision on whether or not to upgrade your phone. And with that being said, if you have a Galaxy S10 or older, it is definitely time to upgrade your phone, just because your phone is no longer supported by security updates. And these days, people spend their whole life on their phone. They got their banking information, email, social security. You are pretty much a walking risk at this point if you're still using phones that are not supported by security updates. So that's pretty much the only situation where you absolutely need to upgrade to a new phone. If you have any other phones over the last 2 or 3 years, you should be in pretty good shape there. All the updates year to year are pretty incremental. But regardless, today I'm going to walk you through 9 categories that I have for smartphones. And I'm going to give a 0 to 5 ranking for each of the categories. By the end of the video, I'm going to give you a final grade and let you know what I think about this phone overall. So make sure to watch the video all the way through. Maybe you might catch some interesting tidbit here and there. And without wasting more time, let's start with the first category. Cool factor and design. I give this phone a 4 out of 5. It doesn't bend, it doesn't fold, it doesn't have pop-up cameras. I know those things came and went pretty quickly, and none of the modern smartphones have that anymore. And even though it doesn't have all those things, the Galaxy S24 is overall a really safe phone. It is pretty much the iPhone of Android. And ironically enough, they made the phone design and copy a lot of the things from Apple, which at this point is okay. All these big companies copy each other all the time. Apple took like 10 years to add always on display. Now Samsung made their always on display the same way that iPhone made their always on display with the full background and everything. So give or take there. With the S24, you're getting pretty much the same design since the Galaxy S21. They initially had the camera bar and then they made it sharper and then they completely removed it. Now we got some shiny circles in the back, but it is still an overall familiar design. One of the design update that I do appreciate this year is the new Gorilla Glass. This just makes the phone much stronger and more scratch resistant. Over the last few years, even under light usage, taking the phone in and out of pocket and just grazing my keys and my other phone and random stuff in my pocket, it would scratch really easily. But this year, Samsung did a really good job with the newer glass, so no issue like that there. Pretty big upgrade. But other than that, it's just the same signature Galaxy look. It is same and boring. It looks the same as the Galaxy A54. So nothing new and exciting there, just a safe and boring design that works. And of course, if you do want any folding or bending phone, you gotta look into the other offerings that Samsung have. But the S series is generally the safest lineup and the best specs lineup that they have. You're not gonna get any crazy design in this S series. Battery, it is a 5 out of 5 for me. The Galaxy S23 was pretty good, but the Galaxy S24 is even a little bit better. For a compact phone, you can get a full 24 hours of battery life if you are a light user. If you are a heavy to moderate user, it will range you anywhere from 15 to 18 hours, so really all depends. But for me, if it's my lifestyle, I wake up early in the morning, it'll last me to bedtime. Even if I don't charge it overnight, I can just quickly plug it in throughout the day, and then I'll still make it through bedtime whenever I have 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And if I'm at work, I'll just have it sitting on my wireless charger. Even charging at 5 watt, it'll still get me through the day. And I don't really need to think about charging it. And whenever I do need to fast charge it, it does have 25 watt fast charging, which is the same technology over the last 5 or 6 years. But it is fast enough. Half an hour should still get you through the day, believe it or not. It is nowhere close to what OnePlus is offering with their 60 to 120 watt, depending which model you choose. So slightly disappointing, there's no charging brick. But at the end of the day, for a phone this small and it can last you a full day, it's not really much you can complain there. Even if it doesn't have blazing fast charging speed, I still make it through the day with this phone. So pretty good stuff for the form factor, a compact phone. It is an excellent battery life for what it is. Customization and features, I give this phone a 5 out of 5. You're going to hear Samsung talk a lot about the Galaxy AI. The thing that I find to be most useful is probably the Galaxy AI wallpaper. You can just go in there, generate new wallpaper every now and then if you get bored looking at the same thing. I don't change my wallpaper that often, but I did find myself just trying out a few new wallpapers, just using AI and changing it up just to get some new look and feel. Of course, you can just go on Google and search random pictures and generate wallpaper that way as well. But at least this one is built in the phone. And there are a lot of AI tricks with this phone. A lot of them, I don't find them personally useful for me on a day-to-day basis. The thing that I find to be most useful is probably the Samsung Notes, where it lets you summarize everything, put in a pretty template. But it is disappointing that the feature doesn't have a desktop mode unless you have a Samsung computer, and I'm not going to buy a new computer just to use that. So even though all these AI tricks are cool, the Samsung Notes has some limitation. I wish I can do more with it. It's nice to be able to have all this stuff in your phone, but if I actually want to be productive, I want to be able to use it on my phone and my desktop. Of course, you can still use Samsung DeX, but it's not the same as you gotta connect the phone, you gotta connect or you can do the wireless DeX, find another display, or you can do phone link and then use your phone on the computer. But regardless, I'd rather have a true desktop experience versus mirroring my phone to the computer. There are a lot of weird things that happen when you do that. Sometimes typing in certain apps, the keyboard pops up and then it goes away. So little things like that. It is better just to have a true desktop experience, and Samsung should have opened it to all Windows computer and not just Samsung laptop. But I do understand that's how Apple have their ecosystem. But in general, Android, Windows, they tend to be more open. So disappointing to see that Samsung took that approach. But regardless to say, there are so many AI tricks in this phone. You can edit your photos with magic erasers. You can move things around. You can delete your old friend that you no longer talk to. You can do live translate, talk to people in other languages if that's your thing. And if none of those AI tricks are your things, you can probably just ignore them all and not use them, which is what I do. A quick Google search will get you all the AI tricks. I made a video of this as well, where I talk about how I find a lot of the AI tricks to be not useful. So make sure to check my day in a life video series if you haven't already to get more details on that. Features wise, I mentioned briefly about phone link earlier. I think that's pretty cool. You can just connect your phone to the computer wirelessly, use all the apps on there, so that's pretty convenient. The main thing that I use phone link for is to record videos so that I can know I'm recording. Like in this case, I have the timer on, I'm recording, and then I see myself at the corner of my eyes. Currently got my phone on a tripod. In one of my earlier review videos, I think in week 1 when I was doing this, I thought I was recording a full video using a Galaxy S24, and once I turned around, it stopped recording after a minute. Maybe I hit the power button or something by accident, who knows, when I was turning the phone around. So now I'm just using phone link to mirror my camera app on the computer so that I know I'm recording. And then there's you can do anything on it. You can chat, you can do Snapchat, play games, so can mirror to your heart's content. I have a triple monitor set up on my computer so I can have anything anywhere I want. I can drag it between all the different screens, so no limitations there. This year, you are getting 2600 nits peak brightness. This is the brightest Galaxy phone that Samsung have ever released. Last year's Galaxy S23 Ultra is 1750 nits, so it is seeing a significant upgrade there. It just means you can see the phone easier outside if the sun is beaming at you. The phone can crank it all the way up to 2600 nits peak brightness. Not that I had any issue looking at it under the sun at 1750, but I can't really complain about bigger numbers. The fingerprint sensor is significantly better this year as well. With the Galaxy S24, it is much faster, it is more accurate. You can use it even when your finger is somewhat wet under running water, or even if you're in the shower, you can just wipe it off slightly and still unlock your phone with it. And that is a really big improvement over the last 4 to 5 years, and it's something that Samsung didn't really mention, but it is a really good quality of life improvement. The speakers on this phone are pretty loud as well, so overall, a lot of neat little features, even though Samsung talk a lot of things about the AI, but the best update for me personally is probably the fingerprint sensor and I guess the 2600 nits peak brightness. Alrighty. So, baby is crying. Got 6 more categories to go. I'll finish this video another time. Be right back. Alrighty, back again. We are on to the next day. Life is a lot harder to make a YouTube video when you have a crying baby, but gotta do what you can, and the show must go on. So next category on the list is camera. I'm giving this phone a 4 out of 5. For the most part, this camera is good enough for 95% of people. The only thing that's really missing compared to the Ultra is the 100x zoom. Some people may find that useful. Maybe you can't see far away, you want to zoom in, take pictures of things. But for me personally, if I'm at home, at normal everyday life, there's never really a need for me to 100x zoom into anything. I don't need to take a pictures of my neighbor's window or do anything weird. So the camera itself is solid. It has a good night camera. And it's basically the same hardware setup as last year. The only difference is you're going to get some AI tweaks. For the most part, all these phones, they have tiny lenses. The only thing that's really changing in the background is the software algorithm. Some phone offers more natural look. Someone offers more cartoony look. They got Pro mode available in the Galaxy S24, so you can tweak it to your heart's content if you want specific lighting or photo. And for the most part, smartphone cameras are just meant to be point and shoot, just because they're convenient in your pocket. You always have it with you, and whenever you need to take a picture, you can just take it out quickly and snap it. But if you're really looking for the best photography out there and you're into all that camera stuff, you probably want to upgrade to the DSLR camera, one of the professional cameras. Those cost thousands of dollars. But for an $800 phone, point and shoot, this one more than does the job. I know with the Galaxy S23 there were some questions around banana gate and blurry edges. When you take close-up photos of things, the edges may look blurry. And the biggest reason for that is because the lens on this phone is bigger, so it's just due to depth of field. So picture you putting your face really close to a sheet of paper, then everything around the edge is going to look blurry. So it's the same concept. In the past, when Samsung had smaller sensor, you can put your phone right up close to things and the edge will look fine. But you just have to learn how to use the camera, change your way of taking the photos. Perhaps just use the 3x camera instead of literally pointing your camera close to an object if you really want to take things that close. So that's my take on banana gate. It's not really an issue, it's just how you take your photos. You just got to learn how to frame your pictures and not put it up too close to things. It's unnecessary. I know it's for some people that just may be the natural instinct, but overall it has great photos, it has great videos, and you can't really go wrong with any of the Galaxy, iPhone, Pixels, or even the OnePlus cameras these days has gotten pretty good as well. It's all personal preferences. And regardless what type of photo you take, if you're really into photography, you can always go back and edit it further. So there's endless AI tricks on this phone for you to play around with that. There are plenty of photo editing apps out there. So 4 out of 5 for camera, just because it's missing all the 100x zoom and all the major hardware that the higher end phone does have. But for most point and shoot situation, you'll be fine. I'm currently recording this video using the Galaxy S24 camera as well, just sitting by the window using video portrait mode, and I think it looks pretty good. Performance is an easy 5 out of 5 for me. You're getting the latest chip for Android, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. It is fast, smooth. Android Auto works perfectly on this phone. With the Galaxy S23 FE that I had previously, I was having a lot of lagging and stuttering issue. I thought it was with Android Auto itself, but I think it might be the phone because the Galaxy S24 works flawlessly. 8 gigs of RAM is a little bit on the lighter side, especially since OnePlus is offering 12 gigs of RAM for the same price. But normal everyday use, I'm for the most part just using one app at a time. I'm either playing games and watching YouTube, perhaps recording a video like this, scrolling around, reading articles. There's never really a situation where I feel like I need more RAMs or I have trouble switching between apps or anything like that. So 8 gigs of RAM is more than suffice for 95% of people. Screen is the next category, and I'm giving this a 4 out of 5. And just because of the fact it is only a 1080p display, I know for these smaller screens, you might not even notice it even if it does have Quad HD. The Galaxy S20, however, a few years ago does have Quad HD on this same exact size phone. So just in terms of screen offerings, it's not the best that it can be, but at the same time, I can't really tell the difference between Quad HD and 1080p on these small phones anyway, so it may be a moot point. But regardless, it is still not the best hardware spec that it can be. It does have 2600 nits peak brightness. This is brighter than all the other Galaxy phones in history. So you're going to be able to see this phone pretty well outside under direct sunlight. Not like I was having issues seeing in the sun with the previous generation, but this generation is even better. Samsung does have 120Hz refresh rate on by default. It just shows how confident they are in the battery, the performance, and just how well this phone is going to hold up. I know with Quad HD, even on the Galaxy S23 Ultra, they have Quad HD off by default. So you have to really go in and turn it on if that is something that you really want to see and you're into pixel peeping and things like that. I personally am not. And in the past, Samsung have done something similar with refresh rate. They often just leave it on 60 Hz. If you want to turn it on to higher, you got to go into the settings and turn it on. iPhone 15 only has 60 Hz refresh rate by default. So Samsung does have an advantage here. Me personally, 60, 90, 120, it doesn't really make that much of a difference for me, but I know a lot of people out there can't tell the difference. Having 120 Hz refresh rate does feel faster. And most people know about 90 Hz refresh rate and just high refresh rate in general, but a less common spec is the PWM, which stands for Pulse Width Modulation. And the Galaxy S24 has about 492 Hz PWM, which is higher than the Galaxy S23. It is about double the amount. And this one actually makes a pretty big difference because when I was using the Galaxy S23 for a long period of time, I noticed that my eyes just get tired and sore. And I'm not really sure why until I saw an article about this and then I saw this spec. And so with the Galaxy S23, the PWM is half the refresh rate. And you can think about it as like similar to looking at a fan. If you're staring at a slow moving fan, then your eyes going to get tired. But if the fan is spinning super fast and you're looking right at it, you won't even notice it because it's refreshing so fast. So it's kind of the same concept there. But this year, Galaxy did bump up their PWM, and it makes a pretty big difference if you use your phone for long periods of time. Kind of a fun fact spec out there. Next category is ecosystem. Oh, and just going back to the screen, the only reason why I gave it a 4 out of 5 once again is it doesn't have Quad HD. But ecosystem, it is easily 5 out of 5 for me. If you're deep into the Samsung ecosystem, they offer everything just as robust, if not more robust than what Apple has to offer. They have washing machines, TVs, basically anything under the sun, Samsung laptops. And if you're deep into the Samsung ecosystem, they all talk to each other well, and they have all similar offerings, similar compared to Apple, Windows, and all that. So if you want to invest in the ecosystem, Samsung has a lot of good stuff under the belt. So it's your personal preference. You want to be Samsung or Apple. I know Apple is more popular, but at the same time, Samsung offers so many things that most people already have Samsung TVs in the house or washing machines. It's easy 5 out of 5 for ecosystem there. For updates this year, it is a 5 out of 5. Samsung is offering 7 years of software and security updates. Google Pixel started it with the Pixel 8. Samsung said hold my beer and did the same exact thing, which is great news for consumers. You can buy this phone now. It will last you until 2031. Just make sure to, in your battery setting, turn it to 85% max charging. So you do plan to keep these phones for 7 years. It's better to protect the battery in the long run. Me personally, I just leave it off because I change phones so often. But best practice with battery, don't let it hit 0% and then charge it up, and don't charge it up to 100%. The 85% is the sweet spot there. So you dig into the setting, look for battery, is in there somewhere. And finally, for value, I'm giving this phone a 4 out of 5 just because the OnePlus 12 exists. But if you're looking at value within the S24 lineup alone, it's an easy 5 out of 5. I prefer the smaller form factor, the $800 price. I don't like paying more than $1,000 for a phone. But since the OnePlus 12 does exist, the OnePlus 12 does a lot of things better than the Galaxy S24. For the same price, they offer 3 times faster charging speed. They have a charging brick in the box, which Samsung no longer offer. They offer a bigger phone and many more spec enhancement compared to Galaxy S24. Even though I'm a big Galaxy fan, I am an even bigger fan of value. So I have to deduct a point there for Samsung. Alrighty, so you add all these scores up, it is a 41 out of 45. So solid A minus for the Galaxy S24 series. It is the Galaxy phone that most consumers should get. If they're comfortable with paying around the $800 price tag, it is still a pretty cool phone, a familiar name. Most people know what it is. Apple got the cool factor down, Samsung is okay. OnePlus overall does offer more value, but the majority of people in the US won't even know what it is. So the Galaxy S24 is really easy for me to recommend just for one-handed use. It is compact. Me personally, I prefer phones from the 5.8 to the 6.2 inch range. Anything above that takes a lot of gymnastic and moving your finger back and forth. Even at 6.2, I still find it to be slippery and I still need to use one-handed mode occasionally. So even though it is technically considered a compact phone, it's really not that small. And best part is you don't need to spend $1,000. Please check out my video regarding this, how this phone is the best update since the Galaxy S20. So the Galaxy S20, when it was initially released, it cost $1,000. And since then, over the last few years, in order to make it cheaper, they just removed more features from the phone. And with the Galaxy S24, they added more features back and still keeping the $800 price tag. So I think it is a really great deal. So overall, the S24, it is nothing exciting. It's safe. It has a great camera, a great battery, and it is pretty much the 3 criteria of a good smartphone. Fast, good camera, and good battery. And it is loaded with AI features. If that fit your lifestyle, it's great. If not, you can just ignore it like me. Let me know if you guys agree with my review of this phone and what your experience have been so far with the Galaxy S24. Just want to take a quick moment to give a shout out to my partner Mint Mobile. Currently they offer a 5G plan for as low as $15 a month. You do get premium data, you get talk and texting. So overall, awesome value for the price. Make sure to check them out. You do have to buy 3 months up front. The link in the description below. Alright guys, appreciate your time as always. Remember to like and subscribe. Please check out my last video if you haven't already. I went into details about how the OnePlus 12 is a better value than the Galaxy S24. But at the end of the day, it's all personal preference. So see you guys over there.